Hey.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
I'm just excited that it's working.
Me. Well, wait.
Well, there
What
wasn't
are we
updates.
talking about
You always
here?
have to wonder.
Yes. What's working?
I meant our technical difficulties have been
No,
resolved.
I know. I was just trying to be funny because you said, I'm just glad it's working. And left it open, wide open for all sorts of possibilities there.
Okay, give me two other possibilities.
No.
Seriously, what else? I don't know what you're talking about.
No.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, it could be your co-hosts are working,
Oh, like they're lazy and they're working at least?
or sometimes they're not.
Okay.
Or it could be all of the gear that you had packed up to take to RetroCon
Oh my
is
gosh.
plugged back in and is working. That's another good thing.
So I've had two bags when we went to RetroCon last weekend, and
Yeah.
one of them had all the
Many.
gear, like John says, including my mixing board that we use for the show. And I
Mhm.
have it in a bag that's small enough to fit so I can carry it on the plane.
Yeah.
And it's a padded bag and it's made for this kind of thing, But right as I'm about to get on the plane, they're like, we ran out of spaces for suitcases. We're going to need to check that. I was like, no, my whole life is in there. And he said the guy said, do you have any electronic equipment in this? I said, yes, it's all electronic equipment.
That's literally all it is.
But he was only worried if I still had it on. He's like, well, you have to turn it off. I was like, oh, well, it's not on. It's like, you're not
Right.
going to break it if you toss it under a plane.
Yeah.
Anyway, they did take it, but it's fine. That wasn't the technical difficulty.
No, it wasn't.
That's the benefit of sitting in the extreme back of the plane is that nobody else is back there and there's places to put your bag.
Ah.
I was in nearly the last row, which is usually where
Really?
I sit. And you know what? As I was walking down the plane, I was like, it would have fit there. It would have fit there. It would have fit there. I don't know why they said that. I don't know. It's a smallish bag. Anyway, hey, welcome back to another episode of 1980s Now, a weekly examination of the importance of 1980s pop culture and its influence today. My name is Will, and joining me, as always, are my friends and co-hosts, Kat and John. Hello, guys.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Are you feeling arrested at all from our whirlwind trip last week to RetroCon?
No.
No.
Yes.
In a theater class I had years ago, John, they referred to those as shadow gestures. When your body says something that contradicts your words, you go with the body. The body's the true one,
Yep. Yeah. So I feel like emotionally recharged because we hung out and had a great time together, but physically
Aw.
I feel drained. So
I feel drained, not just because of the con, because I had to hit the ground running and I have a few things, busy things going on that have interfered with my sleep, but also I felt recharged there, and I immediately, upon leaving your guys' presence, was so drained. I was actually a little bit of a train wreck.
no.
I have to be honest. and yeah, I'm still working on that.
No.
So
Will, you and I are emotional ballast for Kat, and she
Yeah.
was out of balance when she left. That's what happened.
I was.
It is amazing how, right? We talked about this before, and maybe this happens for non-performers. I can only think of this in a performance context, and this is kind of a performance of sorts. You keep it together. Your body keeps it together till the show's over, and then
Yeah.
you fall apart.
Yes.
But it's probably true of other lines of work too. Hey, let's say hello to folks on the live. If you say hello, we know you're there. If you don't, we don't know you're there. Big Funny Giant, what's up, man?
Yay.
Karen is here. Who else? Miss So. Maybe Miss So is fully listening this time.
Oh, maybe.
I have
Maybe.
all of Miss So's attention. Steve, hey,
Got your
Steve's
chickens
here.
before they're hatched.
Steve McLeod is here. Brandon's here. Marcus is here. And Marcus understands what I was talking about. He wants to give
I
possibilities.
take them. I really still don't know. I guess I got the joke about you guys being lazy. Maybe that's what it was. I'll just take it at that. Hey, on today's show, speaking of what?
We have two Brandons.
Oh, we do?
Brandon Greer.
Oh, hey,
Hello,
Brandon.
Brandon.
Oh, it's going to be like elementary school. Brandon O and Brandon G. We might have to go with Brendan Gorp or whatever his name was. Brendan Gorp, I think it was. Anyway, hey. On today's show, we're going to be talking about all sorts of current 1980s. No. On today's show, we'll review current news stories related to 1980s media, including Man, the universe really wants John to see Goonies. That's a news story right there. Indy's
According to the Hollywood Reporter, they really want John to watch this movie.
the universe also wants John to have like, I don't know, $500,000 in just loose change. See if I can make all these about John somehow.
Yes.
The universe really wants John to know about that song and Beetlejuice. All right, this is dumb. Hey, first story, we're going to talk about whether or not there's a Goonies sequel coming or if it's a bunch of bullshit. Indy's Fedora from one of the films sold at auction. We're going to talk about the song that's featured in Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, but no spoilers for the movie. In fact, it's not a big deal at all. It's a minor spoiler, I suppose, in the sense that the song's in there. We won't even talk too specifically about how they use it. I don't think we have to.
Sure.
James Earl Jones has died, sadly, but Darth Vader is going to live on. We'll talk about that. And we're going to chat about this interesting story about a Gen Xer who used AI music to steal millions of dollars.
Genius.
I got to tell you, when I read this story, because I think the article says something about him making it penny by penny, because on streaming you get a pittance per play.
Yeah.
It made me think of it was kind of an inverse Columbia House Records.
Oh
and
my
somehow
gosh.
he was sticking it to the man 1 penny at a time or something.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Illegal but genius. We'll get to it.
Hey, when you get done listening to this show, go check out John on his very own podcast and YouTube platforms, Gen X Grown Up. He's speaking of Gen X people who rip people off 1 penny at a time.
That is my business model,
Yes,
actually.
right. He's got to pay for those hats he's got on all the time.
That's right.
I have nearly 400 pennies already.
Yeah, there you go. All right, hey, let's get started on 1980s. So now look, as reported by The Sun, and I can you hear there's something flying by?
Son?
As reported by The Sun, yes. Apollo. Reported by The Sun, and I say reported, make air quotes, reported, because I think The Sun is a rag, right? Isn't The Sun like just a step above the National Enquirer?
I do believe it's equivalent.
Yeah.
I think it's about the same as National Enquirer,
Yeah, it's like
if I'm not mistaken.
It's a UK rag, basically, right? And I think maybe because we have some distance from here in the U.S., U.S. people, other media outlets pick up these stories from the Sun from time to time and report them like they're news. I don't see a kernel of news in this thing, but we'll tell you what it is anyway.
Does it work the other way around? Do you think people in other countries pick up on National Enquirer news not knowing the reputation?
Oh, right.
I think more other way around. People think everything that Americans say is bullshit, and so they treat everything with a grain of salt.
From anything. Right.
Yeah.
New York Times, Enquirer, doesn't matter.
Nope.
That's a solid assumption before you verify, actually. So I'm okay with that.
And I think it's probably the other way around is, we think British people, they wouldn't lie about make nonsense stuff. They
No.
probably don't have bullshit newspapers.
Listen to that accent. You can only say truth.
And they're all smart, right? All right, so here we
Very
go. This is what
distinguished.
The Sun is reporting. The Goonies is to film a sequel with many of the original cast set to star. Now I got to tell you, this whole article is just a long ass quote by their source.
Right.
I'll tell you some of the things the source said.
Okay.
And you got to know now, if you're on the internet, this story's everywhere, and everybody's reporting it as if they found it in Deadline or the Hollywood Reporter or Variety, which is when they say it, we'll believe it.
Yep.
The source says the Goonies, and a lot of this is shit that anybody can say. This is why it's funny. All right, this is their source. The Goonies reboot has been talked about a long time, but it's finally been given the green light to go ahead. The plan is to start developing the ideas and follow up next summer with a possible release date of 2026 or 2027. Okay, maybe that's what the source knows. The rest of this stuff is just nonsense. The original is so culturally significant, Warner Brothers knows they have to totally get it right. Shit. The team who are going to be starting work on the project are so excited. It's the early days, but the youth adventure market is on fire, so they want to capitalize on this.
Is it? Well, Stranger Things, I guess. That's youth adventure.
The Goonies is 39 years old now, and the idea that they can bring the magic of the film to a whole new audience has the team very excited. They said a lot of nothing. I mean, anybody literally could say there's going to be a Goonies sequel and it's going to start filming next year. We've heard stories like that already. This is really frustrating me because knowing that we have this podcast, people have been sending me this story like they got a scoop.
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing in the article that is isn't declarative other than here's what we think is going to happen. Here's what the plan is. We expect to start doing something. And even if that's 100% true, that's 100% true for a lot of projects all the time, and they don't happen.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to put a whole lot of credence in this. Even if you believe the source doesn't say, now in production. It says, here's what the plan is. We're excited to maybe start thinking about doing something, maybe. It really doesn't. And plus they say reboot. I mean, it kind of contradicts itself because it's a reboot, but it has all these returning characters.
You're right.
That sounds like a Lego sequel to me, not a reboot, but...
Oh, wait, were they calling it a reboot or a sequel?
They did in the article.
Yeah. The Goonies reboot is how it starts out.
Oh, my brain skipped right over that.
This does sound like, John, we've talked about this before, Kat. AI could have written this if you said, tell me that the Goonies is coming out with another movie.
Write me a press release for Goonies 2.
Yeah. We're going to talk about AI later to this show, but yeah. Well, since John doesn't know, I'll tell John. John, this was a movie that was directed by Richard Donner. It came out in 1985. It's based on a story by Steven Spielberg, who also produced it. And it followed these treasure hunting kids who are trying to find a treasure to save their homes. And they live on the Goondocks, so hence they're referred to as the Goonies.
All right.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Goondocks.
The Goondocks. That's where
I've never heard that data point ever.
Yeah.
That's brand new information for me.
So now
Goondocks?
their home is located near the shore where water is and docks and boats.
Oh, he knows that, right? Because there's a fish, a dead fish.
There's a fish on the porch. I know that much about the Goonies.
The fish wouldn't have to travel much of a distance. And you wouldn't have to go
right up there.
And you wouldn't have to go very far to steal a boat either. It's right there because they're on the docks, so the Goondocks. Now it starred Sean Astin, Corey Feldman, Josh Brolin, Martha Plimpton. Who am I forgetting? Corey Haim, Carrie
Kiwi Kwan.
Green, and Kiwi Kwan, yeah. Oh, and Jeff Cohen. Now,
right. He was Lieutenant Commander Data, if I recall.
That's right. Yes, that's exactly right. Most amazing crossover. And you may not know this, but Chris Columbus actually wrote it. Anyway, so look,
he must have been really old by then.
Yes, he was. But the water was right there in the docks. He just rolled right in, got off a ship. I got a script.
The fresh salt air really preserved him over those
Well, he died immediately after
hundreds of years.
He died on the porch holding a script in one hand and a fish in the other. Now, Chris Columbus is a guy we can rely on with regard to. He's in the last couple. It's a few years ago, but Chris Columbus, he recalled after Donner's death that he talked to him about a possible sequel for the Goonies, and he says, "quote He called me and said, you know what we should do? We're going to get on my boat, smoke pot for 3 days, and come up with an idea for Goonies 2."
No,
this is from a Esquire magazine interview in 2021.
Okay.
I said to Dick, "Well, first of all, I don't smoke pot, but maybe if I come down, we'll have a couple of drinks together and sit on the boat." It never happened, and I regret that because I would drop everything to do that right now.
Oh. Huh.
And in
the good news is he does drop acid though, so still they can have a brainstorming session.
Right. That's how they got that giant octopus in the first one, and then they cut it. So like, did you make this? Did you write this part on acid? We got to cut it.
Yes.
And then in 2020, Spielberg, who again came up with this story and produced it, said, quote, "The problem is the bar that all of you raised on this genre. I don't think we've really successful been able to find an idea that's better than the Goonies that we all made in the 80s. Amen to that, brother.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need more Goonies. There was a point. There was a time where I thought it would be cool to have the adults. Maybe this is what I thought was this is a cool notion. Maybe we talked about this before because we're all middle aged now. Gen X is middle aged. And we keep moving that goalpost, right? I mean, we're the middle. We're going to have to be over 100 years old now at this point.
I plan to live to 240, so middle-aged will be.
Yes, exactly. The way I rationalize it so I don't feel like, scared that, well, if you do the real math, medical science is constantly evolving, much to the chagrin of James Cameron, who's trying to write a movie about how medical science is going to come back and kill us all, but I imagine it would be cool to see, and I'm trying to think of one offhand. We don't have stories, certainly not in film. Maybe there's books like this, where middle-aged folks go on a treasure hunt or an adventure. It's always kids that get lured into these things. But Gen Xers have that spirit, and it would be cool to see some stories where, folks of our age are choose or are forced to go on some kind of fantastical, goose chase.
Huh.
Yeah, Cocoon doesn't count.
Yeah, for a few reasons. Yeah.
Right.
Does it count that my husband and I went on a wild goose chase trying to find a certain brand of it was potato chips or Doritos for a friend. It was one of those discontinued brands. And we hit every grocery store we could find in New Jersey.
Kat, did they make a movie out of it?
Yeah.
Nobody did yet.
Then it doesn't count. Doesn't
But
count.
you're in the writer's room, though. You're good at
There
that.
we go.
You can-
The story of Kat looking for Doritos.
Yeah, and John's passing on it. He's in the right room. He passed on it.
Oh, no.
Yeah. What's the opposite of green light? I'm doing that.
Yeah. Skipping right past Amber. I don't think that's exactly what I had in mind, Kat, but yeah.
No.
could be, so.
Oh, darn.
All right. Hey, yeah, look, we'll believe it when we see it. As soon as there's a real story in one of these trusted publications, we'll let you know.
But it has been a while since we had a new rumor of a sequel coming to something from the 80s. We had a lot of them that we heard about. We've done entire episodes talking about all these rumored sequels that are coming and what happened to them.
Yeah.
And here's a new one to ruminate on and forget about in 6 weeks.
Yeah, we're still supposed to be getting that TV series where it's about following a group of kids that reenact the Goonies movie shot for shot. Remember that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't heard anything about that in a while.
Gimme.
No.
All right. Hey, another 1980s
Wait.
news.
We have some comments about
we do?
what we just talked about. Yep.
Yeah.
Can you see him?
Yeah.
Porch fish?
Nothing about fish. But Brandon Greer says it's like saying news says that John is planning on watching the Goonies sometime between now and 2030.
That's right. I'll believe it when I see it. Or I'll believe it when John sees it.
That's plausible. I mean, there's a window there that's possible, I suppose. Yeah.
We also have Chad chiming in. As long as Feldman doesn't sing in it, then all in for it.
That's right, Chad.
He's been everywhere, right? And only recently have folks, his music, look, guys, if you haven't seen him, check it out just to see what we're talking about. But his music is terrible. He's a horrible, cringe-inducing performer. But recently, I have folks questioning, is it an act? He's been doing this act for like 30 years now. Because I used to hear him come on Howard Stern. Howard Stern would have him on because he thought it was such a goof. But he's still doing the same thing. Maybe it's this Andy Kaufman kind of bit he's been doing.
Yeah.
Or is it just terrible? I don't know.
Yeah. It's almost like he thinks he's good. If either he thinks he's good or that's the act that he thinks he's good.
Right.
Yeah. Because at no point does he acknowledge that he's clearly tone deaf.
Yeah, I think he thinks he's good. I don't think it's an act.
I'm a better singer than Corey Feldman, and I can't sing.
And dancer.
And you don't like to dance. Yeah.
Goes without saying.
And Big Funny Giant says, excited to think about considering maybe making the thing. Yeah,
There you go. That's a sure thing right there.
that's the news. Yeah, that's
Yep.
solid news right there. Hey, another 1980s news, as reported by Geek Tyrant, Indy's Fedora has sold at auction. So we're talking about the iconic hat worn by Harrison Ford in Steven Spielberg. This guy just made a lot of movies, the Spielberg guy. But this is a film he directed in 1984, and it's called Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It's crafted by the Herbert Johnson Hat Company in London and was designed by Johnson with the Temple costume designers Anthony Powell and Joanna Johnston. Now, I never noticed the difference. You wouldn't, right? Unless you saw them side by side, I suppose. But this is supposedly a tweaked version of the hat that Indy wears in Raiders of the Lost Ark. This one has no hole in it for the head. It just kind of sits flat on top. You're like, how can we mix up a hat?
I mean, we are led to believe that this is his adventuring gear, right? It's that whip, it's that hat, it's that jacket, it's that bandolero, whatever, pouch thing. But
It's a satchel.
Okay,
Satchel.
it's a merce.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and you're right. They go through a whole process, right, to confirm these auction houses. They match it against shots from the film, production stills, behind the scenes footage before they're able to say, all right, this is authentic. Let's see. Oh, and the hat was so they're saying it's authentic, and in fact, it was also worn by the late stunt performer Dean Ferrandini.
That sounds good.
And it actually belonged to Ferrandini until he died, because he died last year. And the so someone was, is he still, check him. Is he still?
Get it.
All right, he's out. Dun, 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 dun.
All right.
Dun, dun,
Let's
dun.
get that hat.
Yeah, so Ferrandini had previously owned it. He died last year, and this auction is now taking place. According to the description in the catalog, it says, quote, the fedora is made out of sable-colored rabbit felt and features a dark brown ribbon and a leather sweatband that is notably stamped with the initials I.J. in gold, a feature applied specifically to the hats Herbert Johnson made for the 3 original installments of the Indiana Jones saga. And
Here comes the best part. Here's my favorite part of this hat. Keep going.
where the heck did it go?
Uh-oh.
I accidentally cut that out. I think I did.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what it said. My favorite
yeah,
part
yeah.
of the hat is that it had a little bit of makeup
found it.
stain in the band.
Yes.
If I was buying that hat, I would be like, nobody touch this part. Right? Because that's like, it's one thing to have, okay, it is the hat, but it's something else to have, like if it was nicked by a sword or something, you want to see that nick, right? But that's something tangible that the actors were wearing, they had, anti-shine, whatever, makeup on, and have a little bit of that, concealer or whatever they were wearing to stop shine for different shots to be, that's part of the movie making process. That's not just a hat. It's a movie hat, I like that about it. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I love that the stuntman had it. Like, it's like he earned that hat. If he's like, I'm keeping it. I thought that was cool.
Yeah. I mean, he probably had the okay to take it, though, right? I mean,
I guess. I don't know what that process is, but I like that it was with him.
yeah.
That he was
Imagine
cherishing
they had
it, maybe.
a few hats, and that was the one he got to use, or whatever.
But you don't think he bought it, right? He had it.
I would hope
probably
he didn't
walked
have
away
to buy
from
it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Could that stuntman have paid, who knows, maybe, several $100,000 for it the last time it was on the market? I'm guessing it wasn't. It was just his hat that he picked up and went, all right, everybody, that's a wrap.
Right.
Hat in his
That's
bag.
what I'm imagining.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. Yeah,
I claim this.
It's probably a dozen hats, and they were like, yeah, keep it. It's fine.
that's fine. Just a hat.
This Just a Hat sold at the prop store auction for $630,000.
It's the makeup stain that did it.
Yeah. Between that and the script they found in that apartment in London of Harrison Ford's, we're getting close to cloning of Mr. Ford.
Yes. Yeah. A little more DNA. Just a little more.
Now they've got other stuff at prop store if you want to get a piece of Indiana Jones's history. What was that, Harrison?
Oh, it was clones or stain on a hat in Star Wars.
Huh. They've got some other stuff from the film as well. This says they got more than 1,400 additional lots, including a roasted pig and piglets banquet dish prop from a deleted Temple of Doom scene.
Whoa.
Never looked up that scene.
Oh, bother.
I was just thinking the roasted pig one is not as bad compared to what they did have in it, but John just made it horrifying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Piglet.
Oh, Marcus just sent me an AI-generated press release.
Uh-oh.
So, this is because we were just saying the Goonies one. That Goonies story in the Sun sounded like it was AI generated. All right, let's see what this is. For immediate release, John Reddick to star in a reboot of iconic film Footloose. Gen X grown-ups John Reddick steps into the lead role in modern adaptation of the 1984 classic. John Reddick, host of the popular YouTube channel Gen X Grown Up, has been cast as the lead in the highly anticipated reboot of Footloose, directed by Will Padilla, host of the hit podcast 1980s Now. This modern take on the beloved 1984 film will begin production in Dubai later this year. I mean, Marcus, did it just make this all up? I mean, this is a bunch of bullshit. Oh my God, it's got a quote. I got a quote in here too.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, it says I said it. I said Footloose
what'd you
defined an era, and John Reddick is the perfect actor to embody that spirit. His passion for nostalgia combined with great gams.
Oh, yeah.
That's insane. That is insane.
this is insane because out of the three of us,
Yeah.
which one of us loves to dance the
Right,
most?
is the
And I'm
dancer,
not
right.
mentioned even once in there.
Right. That anybody would pay
Out
to
of
see
the three
dance.
of us, which one would you most want to see a bucket of water splashed on while prone?
Wait, you're getting your movies mixed up.
I know. It's another
What?
dancing movie, but we're going to incorporate that into the
Unless while they're
nostalgia.
filming, you're just going to run up with a bucket and start splashing people. Hey, Kat, I don't want to alarm you, but your friend John that you brought, he's been standing there for 4 hours with a bucket or something.
Wait for my chance.
Yeah. And it's one of those Dune popcorn buckets, too, so it's alarming. Kat.
So maybe it's water.
Oh, no.
Could be butter. Let's say it's butter.
Oh, he says Kat stars in a different movie. Is that on,
Oh.
is that on the press
Wait,
release
what?
you gave me?
Oh,
Let's
oh,
see.
Cat starring in Flashdance. Oh, that makes more sense.
All right, whatever.
It's a crossover.
I'll need a breaker to to stand in for me for the spinning on the back
okay.
move. Yeah.
All
So
right.
Will,
Says-
you can be my stand-in.
There you go. Right. I'm not going to shave or anything. It's just as bad as that movie.
Full soft focus.
Ted says he never liked Footloose, but you would if John started it. I bet you.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh,
Right?
Hey, another 1980s news as reported by the New York Times. What's that song in Beetlejuice Beetlejuice?
Mm-hmm.
This is a very, seriously, this is a very minor spoiler for Beetlejuice. It's tiny. Only in the sense that the song is used in the movie. We don't have to talk about what they do or what's happening.
No,
or
we
when it
don't.
happens.
Even though we could, because we watched it together on Saturday night. That
That's
was
right,
so fun.
Right. And if somewhere on this in this our podcast feed, I'm sure there is a review, our discussion about that, our pre and post movie watching.
Uh-huh.
Oh, is there?
There will be. There will
I
be
was gonna
probably
say,
tomorrow.
I
I think
haven't
tomorrow
seen
there
it
will
yet.
be.
I know. Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. I knew it was coming. I know Will's work ethic, and I know it's coming soon.
Since this is next week, it really came out last week, so it's already
I get it.
there.
That's
I get
it.
it.
So somewhere-
You don't explain to me.
All right, I
I
know.
get it.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Cat's the one laying out dates when she sucks.
All right. Hey. Okay. Where we go?
Sorry.
All right. So minus spoiler. Okay. So one familiar haunting song scores a pivotal. Yeah, we're not going to say what it is. Scene in the Beetlejuice sequel, and while without having seen the film, you'd think this is a weird choice. I think it's maybe more perfect than Harry Belafonte's Deo in the first one, the 1988 movie.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the song MacArthur Park. You know, MacArthur Park's melting in the dark. All the sweet green icing flowing down. Someone, Cat, I'm singing MacArthur Park.
What?
The
I was singing.
What are you singing?
I was humming along. Well, or awing. I don't know what I was doing.
I
It was
picture while
with
I'm
you.
singing, you just have your cat by the tail. Wow. I'm getting to the
I
important
know
part.
my Feldman limitations. I wasn't singing.
Someone left the. I almost said someone left the cat. Cat. Someone left the cake out in the rain.
Cat out in the rain.
And I don't think I can take it. I'm singing it so they don't mute it on YouTube. Because it took so long to bake it. And this is the funniest line, right? And I'll never have that recipe again. All right, whatever. Yeah, it's MacArthur Park. So it's a...
Like there's only one recipe for cake. You can get another one.
You know, this song, I want to talk about this song.
The whole song's ridiculous anyway. No, I know.
Yeah.
If that's the one point I'm stuck on, and yeah.
Actually, there's a line about striped pants, which I had
Yes.
never noticed before.
Yes.
So it's actually
Cat, it's
Spot
even
on,
more
right?
specific than that.
Oh,
All the
there's more.
sweet green icing flowing down.
Yes.
All right, again, look, you
Yes.
don't need to know what's happening in the scene, but a lot of these lyrics, they match with the visuals in the film.
If you haven't seen it, you can imagine a cake related to
Yes.
Beetlejuice might involve striped pants and green icing. Okay,
Green
I mean it's
icing
not a big
And
stretch.
melting.
Perchance, maybe so. Sure, I
This
neither
song
confirm
has
nor deny.
fascinated me since I was a kid, you know, because we heard it a lot in the 70s. It was on
Yeah.
the radio a lot.
Yeah.
And I never really thought to look into it until we, you know, it was Beetlejuice, and suddenly I was like, I gotta know. What
Yeah.
is it, John?
Well, you know why you heard it a lot? Because it's a DJ dump song.
Right.
This is one of those that is long enough that a disc jockey can put it on, run to the bathroom, cop a squat, wipe, zip up, and get back before it's over.
Fit of smoke in probably too, yeah.
Maybe so. Maybe so. That made it very popular. Therefore, you're going to hear it at least once per shift when the DJ needs a break.
Wait, once per what?
Shift. Shift.
Oh, Shift. Yeah.
Shift.
It's for Shift. Right. Look, I didn't know this. It was written by the singer-songwriter Jimmy Webb in 1967, and it was actually inspired by a scene he had observed while occasionally visiting Los Angeles' MacArthur Park with his real-life high school sweetheart at the time. So it turns out in the late 60s there, after starring in the after starring in the big screen adaptation of the Broadway musical Camelot, Richard Harris was really hungry to become a pop star. That's true. And as luck would have it, Harris met Webb at an anti-war fundraiser in Los Angeles in 1967. And he requested that he and Webb work together to make a record. Webb played him 30 potential songs, that could be hits that he believed. But it wasn't until he got to the bottom of the pile and shared with him MacArthur Park that Harris was really inspired. And so in a booze-fueled session in December of 1967, the inexperienced singer, Harris, recorded the vocals. And vocals, I mean, it's truer to saying that he sang because it's just really kind of talk singing, right? I mean, it's not rapping, but
not rapping.
I mean, it's on pitch. I mean, it never occurred to me like what a bad singer, but it also wasn't it's not a challenging range either, that song.
And whether it was because of the alcohol or Harris's stubbornness, he consistently misnamed the park as MacArthur's, because that's a MacArthur's Park. So when you hear the song, he actually says MacArthur's Park is melting in the dark. It's MacArthur Park. Anyway, it turned out that neither the confounding lyrics nor the running time of 7 minutes and 20 seconds were a barrier to chart success, because the song, which released ultimately in April of 1968, reached number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the U.S. and number 4 on the British charts. In fact, so good that Webb earned a Grammy in 1969 for Best Arrangement Accompanying a Vocalist.
Wow.
I don't know if we have that award anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway, in addition to giving DJs amount of time to do whatever they want, according to Webb, the Beatles producer George Martin told him that the group let Hey Jude run more than 7 minutes because of this song.
Ah, yeah. Hey, if they can do it.
Yeah. And as for the girl who inspired it, though Horton, sorry, I didn't say her name earlier. Though she broke Webb's heart at MacArthur Park in 1965 and went on to marry someone else, the relationship was short-lived, and she and Webb later lived together for 3 years. Now, if you're not familiar with the Harris version, you've probably heard the Donna Summer version, because that was a more up. It wasn't upbeat in the sense that they changed the lyrics of the music. It just had a disco beat to it. It was shorter than the original version. Came out in the end of the 1970s, so nearly a decade later. And they actually play that version of the song during the credits. That's no big spoiler there. A bunch of people, and actually that song earned her first Grammy nomination.
Wow.
So,
this song
Yeah.
is crazy.
Yeah, with the shorter one, there's no time to drop the kids at the pool. You got
Right.
That's a regular song.
Right.
Drop the
And
kids.
a lot of people have covered it, and Weird Al parodied it. Parodied
Parrots? Did you say parrots?
Parodied it.
Something about parrots.
Squawk.
So as a kid, I was always fascinated by this song because of that, I don't know, juxtaposition, I guess, of how the music to me really is a tearjerker. If it had no lyrics, the way the music is, the arrangement, it's really emotional.
Very symphonic. Yeah, it is. Yeah, for sure.
And it has a kind of melancholy to it, a wistfulness. Yeah.
And it's structured musically in a way that most pop songs aren't. Like they've got some measures that are not, 4 on the floor. They throw in a kind of odd measure in there, here and there.
And then like 2/3 of the way through, it like breaks into the really upbeat.
It becomes
the
a James
horns
Bond
kick
theme.
in, and it's a big deal all of a sudden.
Yes.
Which is also, I'll say, used to effect in the film we were speaking about. So
Right.
Yeah.
it's not almost. They clearly edited the scenes to match those changes in attitude of the song, and it works so well.
Yeah.
Having a song that quirky lent itself to a quirky sequel.
Right.
And it's jangly sounding, like in the beginning, like there's a like piano or something happening that it kind of just has like a kind of a weirdness to it, or like a I don't know. It's just quirky sounding. Quirky in the beginning. Jangly is the best word I could come up with. Kind of
Like Mr.
reminds
Bojangly,
me.
right?
Jangly sounding.
Not squeaky.
But and as a kid, you can hear the lyrics, so it's just really, I don't know, emotional songs. This guy's really upset about what happened, but the fact that he's singing about a cake and that he'll never have that recipe of me make the cake, it confused me. Like, because I took lyrics literally when I was a kid. I didn't see them as metaphors or poetry. He must really be upset about losing this cake, and
Yeah.
it's very bizarre to me. And he's an adult, I was like, what is this? A grown man crying about a cake? This is bizarre.
And he lost the recipe.
Yeah.
Was that left out in the rain too? And the ink ran?
Yeah.
Yeah. And even later, when I tried to look for metaphor, I'm like, okay, what does this really mean?
Yeah.
Like on a verse by verse basis, like you're like, oh, that must mean this. That must stand for loss, or this must stand for whatever. But there's not like a cohesive metaphor throughout the whole song, because it kind of breaks down if you try to make it span the entirety of the song.
Yeah.
I can't find like a solid metaphor that matches up the whole way through. It kind of jumps lanes a lot if you try to find that kind of meaning in it.
Yeah, it's just the chorus that maybe you could derive the most sort of most of a message from.
Yeah.
Well, according to Webb, the lyrics aren't complicated. Per the liner notes for the Webb sessions, 1968 through 1969, he wrote, quote, "I see it as a relatively simple love song with some very sad imagery and about things passing away and never being the same again. I've always been amazed that people find that such a mystery," end quote. And the imagery that's described in there, because there's a lot of different images, including some of the ones that Kat mentioned, Webb told Newsday in 2014 reflects people, objects, and events he really saw at the park while meeting up with his girlfriend. And while Webb said they would eat a cake and leave it in the rain, that imagery is also a metaphor, he says, for, quote, losing a chapter of your life. Quote.
Kind of a bummer.
Now knowing it's about, and I heard him say elsewhere that it was like, I don't know if this is true, but that he and his girlfriend would meet in this park, and then she married someone else in the park. Like they had the ceremony in the park.
Right?
That sounds devastating.
Yeah.
So I heard a disconnect. He just said those are things he actually saw. And then he said, oh, no, the cake is a metaphor. So did he or did he not see a literal cake in the rain? Because I read it both ways.
No, he did. He did.
He said he did. And then I think he decided to turn it into a symbol for something. Yeah.
Like
genius. No songwriter has ever done that. That's
like, yes. Like
unsurprisingly, I did not think about these lyrics when I was a kid. I was just hearing the song and the music. And this was a moment when we were watching the movie. I was like, whoa, because I just hadn't heard it in a while, and it transported me back to a younger time. But
I paid so little attention to the lyrics when I was younger that as I was watching the film, I'm like, did they rewrite these lyrics? Is that really what it used to say? I mean, it sounds right. I was like second guessing my memory because I never like knew this song. I'm just like, oh, that song is on, And so I'm listening now, and because now they're actually syncing up imagery to some of the things they're saying, and like, is that really what he always said? And it is.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Some of it was too spot on, like the green icing we mentioned. I was like,
yep.
And I was like, it sounds like Richard Harris. And I really thought, I was like, did they get a stand-in or an AI?
Right.
He's passed away years ago.
Right. Yeah. That's so funny because I thought the same thing too. Like they just
because he was
tweaking the lyrics.
Dumbledore and had to replace him, right? Because wasn't he in Harry Potter? You mentioned that earlier, right?
He died after the first or second film.
Yeah.
BFG says, all I could hear was Weird Al during that scene.
Yep.
This is what, Jurassic Park, right?
All the dinosaurs are running wild. Someone left T-Rex out of his pen. Or let him out. Yeah. Do you know that one, Kat? No?
I've heard it once or twice. I don't have it memorized, but very funny.
Chad says, I saw the movie and that song seemed pretty long to me. Yeah, it is long. And I read one of the reasons Burton chose it was because it was long enough to be under that scene. And like John says, they cut it up in a way that matches dramatically with the... Karen says, I just finished eating a slice of red velvet cake. Okay.
Don't leave it out in the rain.
Was it out in the rain? Was it all wet?
Yeah.
Just dip it in the sink?
It would run red instead of green.
Oh, I guess this is a list that folks are contributing to the songs for DJs to take a break.
Oh,
Karen writes American Pie, Hotel California, Stairway to Heaven,
Yes.
Bohemian Rhapsody. Brandon adds Working Man by Rush.
Well-known DJ dump tracks. Yep.
Yeah. Dump tracks. I've never heard it referred to that before.
Oh, really? No? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a euphemism.
No, I've never DJ'd a live event and then done anything personal like that. In fact, like we were talking about before we started recording, with being able to stay healthy and have energy until something's over. All my body just shut down any like normal functions it would do.
Just hold it. Yeah.
You don't have to be hungry. You don't have to go to the bathroom. Nothing. Don't feel dehydrated at any point. But I have I remember in high school DJing and putting on, and it wasn't a very long song, but I think it was Pump Up the Volume. It's not a very long song. But in my school where our parties were in the cafeteria and the classrooms were above the cafeteria levels, So when you had the ends of the double doors, speaking of a double doors open at the end of the hallway, you could hear the music from the cafeteria and the other floors. And so I remember putting on a song early in the dance and then like running through the school, and like people see me like, who's DJing? What's happening? I had time though.
all right.
All right, whatever.
And
Anyway,
where were you going?
I was just doing that to scare my friends, really, I think. So people
Oh, okay. You're just taking a lap just to have them confused. But because you could echo through the halls, you knew
I
exactly
could
where you
hear.
were
I've
in the
got
song,
another
so.
3. Yeah.
You knew when you needed to sprint back.
Yeah, John, I don't know if maybe we've talked about this, but working in television production, which you used to do, you get in DJing because you get a sense like built into of time, like how you can feel like, all right, I've got a minute you got plenty. There's plenty of stuff you can do in 30 seconds.
I can still feel 30 seconds. Like uncannily, like if you started a timer and I just in my head I could tell you when it ended and I'd probably be correct within a half second. Because you can feel that time. It's how long a commercial is. It's how long it's so much stuff. Yeah, you're right.
So I knew how much time I had.
You had time.
Yeah. All right. Hey, let's see. Another 1980s news as reported by I don't know how you say this. We've used this source before. The LAD Bible or the LAD Bible. Come up.
I always called it Lad Bible. Sure.
Lad Bible.
Whichever.
Okay.
Yeah.
The voice of Darth Vader will go on. So as I mentioned, and I'm sure folks listening will know, that sadly we lost a legendary actor, one of our favorites of all time, but especially a star of many films and television shows throughout the 1980s. James Earl Jones has died at the age of 93. And that is the very bad and sad news. And certainly we could talk about all of the wonderful contributions he made to our pop culture, but we're not going to do that. We're going to focus on just one. Because it turns out that his final screen credit came in 2022, and it was for providing the voice of Darth Vader, the villain that he helped create 45 years earlier. Jones's voice appears, and we talked about this when it happened. Jones's voice appears as the Sith Lord in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. But
then.
What we hear is actually the work of the Ukrainian company Respeecher, which is a company that uses AI and other tricks to, just much like deep fakes of faces, they deep fake your voice. And according to Vanity Fair, Jones acted as a, quote, benevolent godfather, end quote, during the AI recreation of his very notable sonorous speaking voice. Well, should Star Wars ever feel compelled to bring back Darth Vader, they can. And they probably will, let's face it.
Oh, yeah. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah. Because, look, and sadly, we've lost already Sebastian Shaw, who played the face of Darth Vader when he's unmasked. David Prowse, who was the body for much of it, except for the fight scenes. And sadly, now we've lost the voice. Well, they've already had doubles filling in for the other things. And we know Hayden Christensen is now the face of Anakin Skywalker. But James Earl Jones also made a provision that allows Disney to recreate his voice in future incarnations of the villain. And I remember when we saw it, we talked about Obi-Wan. Wow. I mean, you didn't really know.
Right.
I think they use it for Mark Hamill's voice in a cameo he makes in Boba Fett, which is not as successful. But the Darth Vader one was spot on.
Yeah. Now, they used it somewhat sparingly, luckily. It wasn't like long stretches of dialogue, so you didn't have time to really get used to what it sounded like maybe or pick it apart. But it didn't raise any red flags. Certainly didn't hit that uncanny audio valley where it sounded like, is that it sounded great.
Uncanny audio valley.
Uncanny. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. No.
I didn't think it wasn't him.
No. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even think I knew they were using the respeecher before watching
stuff,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of AI, it's certainly not the first time that Star Wars has used technology to recreate the likeness of a deceased performer. In 2016, the movie Rogue One brought back Grand Moff Tarkin, a character who hadn't been seen since A New Hope, who, and spoiler alert, dies in A New Hope. In the 2016 movie, he's played by Guy Henry, but Industrial Light and Magic replaced Henry's look with using groundbreaking CGI, deep fake essentially, to bring back the original actor Peter Cushing.
Yeah.
Well, it turns out, and this is just sort of a bonus news story regarding AI and Star Wars. It turns out that per the Times, 8 years later, after that movie came out, the creators of Rogue One are being sued by a film producer who was one of Cushing's oldest friends.
Oh my goodness.
What?
Yeah.
Huh?
Kevin
How can a
Francis.
friend sue?
What basis? Yeah.
What?
I'll tell you right now, if I die, Kevin, you sue these motherfuckers for using my likeness if that ever happens, okay?
Yeah, does he have that in writing?
Right.
Well, here's how...
I don't have any basis. Just do it. Just sue him.
So Kevin Francis claims that the actor agreed not to grant permission for anyone to reproduce his appearance through special effects without his authorization. Francis's company, Tyburn Film Productions, is suing the Disney subsidiary Lucasfilm, which owns the rights to Star Wars, and Lunac Heavy Industries, a UK company that was one of the producers of Rogue One. He also brought claims against Cushing's estate, the executors of Cushing's estate, who both have died, and Associated International Management, the agency that represented Cushing until
This is
his
ridiculous.
death.
Cushing's estate is who I would think would have any skin in the game for using his likeness. And yet his buddy is suing his estate because his estate let Lucasfilm do it?
Yeah, well,
It's crazy.
yes, pretty much.
Dumb.
Is this just some sort of cash grab? He's just like, ooh, Disney.
No,
Let me try and get some money.
maybe not. There's a little
Was
more.
this in the Inquirer or the Sun,
The
perhaps?
Sun, yes. The Sun. No,
Okay,
this is in
all
the
right.
Times.
That
No,
makes
he's
more
really,
sense.
he's really doing it. Now Disney claims
He'll lose.
that they did not believe they needed permission to recreate Cushing because of the terms of his contract in A New Hope
Okay.
and the nature of special effects. So we don't know what his contract is, but we know in 1977 or 76, whenever he signed it, they couldn't have anticipated computers would be recreating people.
Right.
But
Not
it's at
AI,
least-
but
Yes, it's at least.
but they had his
implied.
likeness, action
Right.
figures and crap, right? Like so they had
Exactly.
the ability to reproduce him in other mediums, whatever. Right.
Yes.
And this is another one.
And to the extent they could slice out pieces of footage from the original film and stick them in another film, they probably could do that too. So yes, and I imagine the contract was crafted in a way that's at least broad enough. And usually they say, and any future ways that someone figures out how to do this, we could do that too. So they think they're okay. But even that said, they did after they were contacted by Cushing's agent, they agreed to a payment to the actor's estate of about £28,000 to clear the use of his appearance. Well, the friend says that the actor signed an agreement not to allow his image to be used without Francis's permission in 1993 when Cushing was preparing to make a television show called A Heritage of Horror, which was not completed. So apparently, look, I'm going to sign an agreement that no one could use my likeness unless you give permission. Why he did it in connection with this TV show that they never made, I don't know. It's for a
Where
court
is
to
this
decide.
agreement?
But what about previous agreements? Like a new agreement doesn't say, and henceforth null and void previous things I signed. Yeah. Sounds shady.
Yes.
So what he's suing for is unjust enrichment. Should we even get into this? So it's the idea that doesn't matter.
Sounds riveting.
It doesn't matter.
Read the whole thing.
The idea is, look, if you don't have a contract, this is the short version. If you don't have a contract that binds two people together, and certain types of agreements require a contract, you have to have a contract. If you don't, you're out of luck. But other situations, you might be able to argue, we don't have a contract, but look, this person got a benefit from the thing that I provided. That's not fair. Even though we never signed anything, they shouldn't just be able to take advantage of me and get the... That's basically what he's saying.
Okay.
Although Disney's... Oh, this is legal. This isn't a legal show. Never mind. Okay, anyway, so...
It's not?
Case dismissed.
Yeah, whatever. So part of this article was Disney saying, look, they argued these things, and the court was like, that's good and all, and maybe you won't... Maybe this guy doesn't have a leg to stand on, but we're going to let it go forward anyway. That's right. So there's going to be a trial now.
Wow.
Francis, who's 75, is seeking less than £500,000, which is probably some threshold for the why he's in a certain court, not another court. He made a number of films with Cushing, including The Ghoul, Legend of the Werewolf, and The Masks of Death.
Oh, he would have been good for all of those.
You mean now? What do you mean? Peter Cushing
No,
was in those movies.
Oh,
Wait, what?
Will,
I'm
now?
not sure what you're saying. He did make those movies.
No, well, yeah, I know. Like what I mean, there was something about his face, that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
werewolf.
You're saying he's so
Oh.
gaunt, like Vincent
Yes.
Price is, that he could... You weren't saying that,
Yes.
like he could star in those now if we dug him up. That's not what you were
Yeah,
saying.
that's what I thought you were saying.
Okay.
Ghoul,
Oh, he'd be
Masks of
perfect
Death.
for the zombie movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I meant at the time. Not
Cushing,
Okay.
he was in a
now.
lot of horror movies.
Ah.
Anyway, just as a coincidence, but probably anticipating these types of issues, last month the California Senate passed a law that requires consent for the use of dead performers' likenesses for AI-created digital replicas.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Okay.
The creepy thing about that is that's going to be a rider now.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we signed you up for this movie. Flip to page 17. You do initial here where it says, "You'll die soon, and when you do, ...
Right.
Because you can't wait until after someone dies to does that. You can't wait until someone dies to do that. You've got to do that up front. And you want to do it before they become a superstar and before it's a multi-billion-dollar franchise. So every movie now is going to have a writer that goes, and sign here for your AI thing, or
Yes.
not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, yeah, and I know when we talked about, I think James Earl Jones and Obi-Wan Kenobi re-speecher months ago, I mentioned that because I was only just learning this, that from a friend of mine who does voice acting, he said some of these studios, they've been using the same contract for years, like decades.
Yeah, sure.
And then
Worked
left
yesterday.
everything exactly the same, except they snuck in like a line that said, "Oh, and we could AI your voice if we need to add any additional lines or fix anything."
Dirty pool.
And the voice artists, they kept saying the same. Oh, this is the contract I've been signing for years. I'll sign the same thing. It's fine.
Right.
And now they're getting AI. They're finding out they recorded additional episodes of something that they didn't. Well, you signed a contract.
Oh, that's so
That's a big-
sneaky.
Yeah, the voice
Got to
actor.
be use it the other way. You got to just feed the contract into AI and said, "Tell me what things I should look out for, AI.
Ooh,
Oh,
yes.
nice.
Yes, I love that. Yes, I love that.
Yeah.
Process this PDF and note any differences between this version and the version from last year."
Right.
Nice.
That's a good idea. Yeah. How am I
Yeah.
getting ripped off, ChatGPT?
Ha.
All right. Hey, finally
Using
in
AI for
19.
good.
What was that?
Using AI for good, finally.
Oh, Will said yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
It's
Oh,
not
that's
evil.
how I feel. Yeah, and I don't know where I come down on this next story as far as AI goes. I said it's really fascinating. I don't know.
Ooh, boy.
Yeah.
Man, I'm not for fraud, but I don't know. This is fun. And finally, in 1980s news, as reported by the New York Times, the bands and the fans were fake. The $10 million was real.
Yeah.
Michael Smith, 52-year-old, who, look, as a member of our generation, this guy really knows how to use AI really well.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Damn. He's been accused in an unsealed federal indictment of stealing royalty payments from digital streaming platforms for 7 years. And my first thought was, good, because there's a lot of legitimate artists who are not getting nothing. We're finding out they're just not paying, the BMI or ASCAP or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or what they do get paid anyway is still a pittance. And these artists have to be on the road constantly to make any damn money.
Right.
It's just not
Yep.
cool. Anyway.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
But I don't know. Maybe this has gone too far. Smith initially uploaded music he wrote himself. Excuse me for a moment. Smith had initially uploaded music he wrote himself to the platforms, but after determining that that's too much goddamn work, shit. End quote. After determining that his catalog was too small to produce any spoils, he teamed up with the robots. He joined forces with the chief executive of an AI music company and a music promoter, neither of whom, by the way, are named in this indictment. So someone must be talking. Smith created a staggering catalog of bogus songs, uploading thousands to streaming platforms each week. According to prosecutors, the compositions would arrive to Smith with file names that appear to be just dozens of randomly generated characters. And then Smith would generate plausible names for the songs and their artists. And quite honestly, with the types of the names of songs and bands these days, I don't know that I would spot any of these. Zygopterus, Zygopteron. This sounds like a series. Zygopteros, Zygosporic, so on and so forth.
I mean, they're words almost. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and he also he gave the artists, the band's names were things like Callous Post, Calorie Screams, Calvinistic Dust. All right, there's a website generating band names. Right?
Oh yeah,
gotta be
right. Generate 3,000 band names, please.
Yeah. Anyway, and then next, after he created these
Okay,
songs,
I'm going to stop you here. I'm going to stop you here because I have a hypothesis.
Okay.
Oh.
That up to this point, he might be okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Making the songs,
Yeah.
putting the songs out there. I think maybe up to there, and I know you can't copyright AI generated stuff, so maybe there's some gray area in there, but it was the most genius part he did next that got him in the most hot water.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Had he produced AI generated songs, and look, he's going for quantity, not quality. But if maybe he upped the quality enough, or was clever enough to get organic listens,
Yep.
Yeah.
right on something.
Yeah.
If people enjoy it, they're getting value out of it. They pay for it. What's the harm?
Yeah. But he didn't do that. He knew the songs were garbage. So instead, he created as many as 10,000 fake streaming accounts using email addresses he had purchased online. Then he created software to stream his music on loops from different computers, giving the appearance of individual listeners tuning in from different places.
Wow.
Yeah. And the bands that I mentioned that the songs that he uploaded were top performers on Amazon Music, Apple Music, and Spotify, according to the charges.
So he's both the producer and the consumer.
Yes.
And it's the mechanism between those two that's then paying him off.
Yeah.
Because no one's getting value out of these. He's just getting paid for them.
Yeah. I'm understanding this better now that, where I'm listening and talking. When I read it, I was like, huh?
What do you do? Yeah.
I didn't what? Where is the money coming from? Who?
Right.
But I get it.
It'd be
more.
like if we set up accounts to download this podcast
Yeah.
from multiple computers on our multiple logins to boost our numbers.
Right.
Right. But we don't get paid for that right now.
Yeah,
But
we
if we did,
yeah.
that would be fraudulent, right? There were not
Yes.
actually real people. They were just Irish scripts that were actually doing the downloads. And
Right.
that would be fraudulent. If you're
Fraudulent
especially
pennies.
if you're making money for it, especially if you're getting money, get paid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
BFG is a song name here that he's suggesting. Zygo Pixen Chicks did said she is I don't know how to say that.
There we go. Is that band name?
Anyway,
Could be either.
According to a statement from Damian Williams, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, Smith, quote, stole millions in royalties that should have been paid to musicians, songwriters, and other rights holders whose songs were legitimately streamed, end quote.
I don't know about that.
Huh.
How did him getting paid stop others from getting paid?
Right. Because he was the only one listening.
Mm-hmm.
He
Listening to it's not like he was stopping anyone from listening to legitimate artists.
right. Right.
Yeah, right. There's not a finite pot.
Right. It's not a percentage. Mm-hmm.
In theory, through ad revenue and subscriptions, they generate money. I guess it is finite. They generate money that's paid out to people who. But you're right. Everybody might be owed. We might be in the red because we just have to pay out more than we have. That's our problem.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Commercial success in the industry is increasingly measured in digital listens, despite like we mentioned, despite the paltry compensation that streaming companies offer artists who rely more on appearances. I already said all this. All right. Anyway, according to a financial breakdown that Smith emailed himself in 2017. All right, genius criminal, right?
Oh my gosh.
He sent himself a report.
Yes, apparently.
He's like, I understand why criminals tell the hero what their plan in every movie.
Mm-hmm.
I have that impulse, but I have no friends. I'm going to send an email to myself.
But before I kill you, Mr. Bond.
Wait, I'm going to kill me? So according to this breakdown that he emailed himself in 2017, which is the year, according to prosecutors, that he began this scheme, Smith calculated that he could stream his songs 661,440 times a day. And at that rate, he estimated he could bring in daily royalty payments of $3,300 and as much as $1.2 million a year. And by June of 2019, Smith was earning about $110,000 each month, which he was splitting up, giving a portion to his co-conspirators, of course. But he, in spite of that, in 2019, he said he had reached, in another email, this guy's got to shut up. In another email in February of this year, he bragged that he had reached 4 billion streams and $12 million since 2019.
Wow.
So here's a puzzler. Now hearing you say all this in context.
Yeah.
He was making AI songs in 2017?
Oh, wait a second. Yeah.
Surely not.
Right. Yeah, so what?
He may have been making garbage songs in 2017, but I mean, AI wasn't doing it, right?
Yeah, and maybe it's not AI, certainly in the sense that we think of it as. Yeah, maybe there was a computer program where you could generate.
Right. Maybe it's just a series of bleeps and blips, like it's, it's electronica or something. But AI wasn't making, make me a pop song that sounds like blah, 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 like you can now, like Sonos, whatever that thing is called.
Yeah, I have a clip of one of the garbage songs here.
Ooh.
Listen to this.
Let's hear it.
Sucks. It's terrible. Anybody who wrote this song, terrible.
You!
Gotta be.
You
What is it?
are such a turkey.
You're a fan of that garbage music?
That's a Duran Duran song.
Oh, you know what? You're right. I don't have one of their songs. I was different person's shit music.
Who would pay for that?
Exactly.
Oh man.
You were going to say something, Kat,
Poor
before
Kat.
I interrupted
I
you.
was, and then you totally threw me off there. I was going to say, I thought that part of what I couldn't wrap my head around, which maybe I don't need to, is I thought the issue was the AI part and him, pulling from other people's music to create songs and that there were copyright issues. But I guess that's not happening here necessarily. Okay.
Yeah, right. That's not the issue. Yeah, it's just the streaming.
Like I said, I think up until he started making bots to consume it, he might have had some wiggle room in there. But when he started generating false listens and getting paid for it, that's when people lose their sense of humor about that sort of thing.
Yeah. Huh.
The prosecutor said that Smith flatly lied to musical distribution companies. In October 2018, one company informed Smith that it had received, quote, multiple reports of streaming abuse, end quote. Now, who are they getting reports from? It has to be internal, right? We would have no way of knowing.
Right.
Unless somebody dropped a dime on him, which maybe by the co-conspirators not being named in the indictment might explain that. But what would their motivation be, except they thought the walls were closing in on them?
My hypothesis really is that I'm sure that streamers are constantly working very hard to verify duplicate accounts so they don't have to double pay artists. So in that endeavor, they very well could have exposed like, wow, these are the same IP, but they're awfully close. And maybe, they got to be trying to find ways to save money. and perhaps he got caught in that net. Maybe that was my suspicion.
Yeah. Smith, the charges said, responded to the company with a strongly wordy denial, saying, "quote That's crazy. That's absolutely wrong and crazy. There's absolutely no fraud going on whatsoever." End quote.
Strongly worded.
If only emails had emotional content, right? But he did say those words, or write those words. So, it's all funny until you see what charges you're faced with, because he could get, because he's up on wire fraud and money laundering charges. And if convicted, he faces a maximum of 20 years in prison.
Whoa.
For each charge.
Wow.
And each charge would be, each song, it'd have to be, right? Everything's a violation. It's not, I murdered 5 people, we'll just call it 1. It's, yeah.
I feel like I do have a problem with him getting so much jail time for something, that's not a murder. Like, let's save the big jail time for people who are
it's
unsafe.
Millions of dollars, Kat.
But it is a lot of money.
And it is the maximum, it's the 20 years, but
Okay.
Right. And he's already 50-something, so he's not going to turn. He's going to serve maybe 30 tops if he gets convicted.
Yeah.
Why? Because he signed that clause that said we can use his likeness after he dies in all of his films.
Oh, there should be a film about this.
Ooh.
Marcus says, if I wrote something to get 5,000 streams, wrote a software to get 5,000 streams listening to Purple Rain in a loop, who gets paid and what law was broken?
Huh.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, like it's the thing for me is I automatically thought it's got to be terms of your agreement as a subscriber or as in his instance, as a creator.
Yeah.
Right. So you sign up, you got to sign something, we always just check it as if we read it. But somewhere in there probably says, no bullshit. You can't fake things. And
you can't go stream your own music to get paid, probably says in there, right?
Yeah. And even if it didn't, it would still be a crime, I suppose, because, you don't need a specific contract to say what fraud is. And so if you trick somebody to paying you for something that wasn't really, let's say, purchased or, earned, that's fraud.
Yeah, that does sound like a good definition for fraud. Yeah.
I mean, Marcus raises a good point, because it's like, so if he listens to it 5,000, now Marcus, I think 5,000 streams from one person, I don't know how they work it out, but I bet you they don't count them as 5,000.
That's what I'm saying. I'm sure they have software I was referring to before.
Yeah.
So that if you stream it a whole bunch of times from your computer, they're like, well, it's the same dude. He didn't sit awake for 7 days listening to this song. We know that something is fishy.
Right.
And that's probably exactly how this guy got caught in the first place.
Yeah.
Round the clock streaming from,
Yeah, it's gotta be something like that.
Well, he was kind of brilliant and stupid at the same time.
It was smart. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He should have asked first. Hey, I'm just wondering.
Asking for a friend.
Right. Asking for my friend Marcus, who loves Purple Rain. All right, there you go. All right, hey, that's it. That was the show.
And the show is brought to you thanks in part to our early adopters, Karen Flieger and Rick Parker. And thank you especially to our Secret of Our Success level Patreon supporters, Matt Marino, John Henderson, Brandon Greer, Steve McLeod, Marcus Taylor, Tony Great, and Nick Guillory.
Thank you so very much, guys. We are so entirely grateful for your continued support. And these folks have been with us for a while and steady.
Yeah.
We get some new folks every now and then. Like Steve.
We're going steady.
That's right. I'll give you my ring. You can wear it or around your chain or whatever. But without your generosity, we would not be able to bring you the show the way we do every week. It would be, we'd be stringing cans from place to place as far as we could reach, which wouldn't be terrible.
We do it. Yeah.
Cans and string. But it sounds much better this way because you guys are awesome. Hey, please considering joining these awesome group of folks here by going to patreon.com/1980s now. And if you don't have a nickel or a penny, a Columbia House penny, Hey, share a post. Tell a friend about the show. That's seriously that goes a long way too.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Word of mouth.
Okay.
Right.
All right. Hey, we will talk to you again next time on 1980s Now.
Until next time.
Get your fish broom.
Mish fish.
Mischief.
Fish.
Criminal mischief.
Mischief. Criminal. Criminal mischief. Ah.
Yeah, I am still tired. I am still tired from our whirlwind tour. You know
What happened to this?
Yeah.
What happened to the story about the I'm afraid of Bigfoot?
Did I skip a story? Oh shit! I meant to ask. It's not a story. I meant to ask you guys that.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, look. All right, we can talk about that right now. It'll take 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So look, I mentioned James Earl Jones, or I say in the context of Mr. Jones's untimely, sad and tragic passing, they were focusing on Star Wars because that is the character for me that loomed large, even after he was unmasked ultimately, and we saw who he was, and he was a kind person, and he played a bunch of other characters in films that we love, like Coming to America, and Field of Dreams, and many others. We've seen him on, we've seen him on stage, on Broadway.
Yep.
That he was Darth Vader was the most impactful thing to me. When I was a kid, I remember Darth Vader was the first villain I was scared of, that I can recall. I had watched many TV shows and movies by then, but in 1977, sitting in the movie theater at the Hudson Mall, seeing Star Wars, Darth Vader, I felt scared. And in large part, it's due to the costume, of course. His face looked kind of like a skull. You were conditioned to think the bad guys were black. But that voice had such power. It was so imposing, it scared me. And in fact, that comes out in the summer of 77. It's in the fall of 77. At my grandmother's house, my Nana's house, we're there for Halloween to go trick-or-treating in Jersey City. To her home walks Darth Vader. And I nearly shit my pants. I was terrified. And now, a few moments later, I learned that it's my uncle who's dressed like this. He's a tall fellow, so he's fairly imposing himself. And now, a closer inspection, they realized he took like a motorcycle helmet and made like a thing. It looked like garbage, but he had like a black
It wasn't
towel.
like a costume shop. It was like a bootleg, roll your own kind of.
Yeah,
Homemade.
I don't remember. He had like
But at first glance,
he spray painted a Tupperware container black for the the chest piece.
Oh.
I don't remember. He had
and
black
go through
underwear
the
on
old
over
DJ
his-
dump right in spontaneously.
Exactly. Yes.
That's what I was thinking too.
Anyway, so it made me think. Were you guys terrified of Darth Vader? Maybe John was a little too old. Who was the first villain, fictional character that you remember scaring you?
I cannot think of a specific
Ooh.
character that I was scared of.
Okay.
The movie I was most scared of or horrified by was the Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
Nice.
And
pick.
it was just like the vibe of the movie. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it was terrible. But I can't remember feeling really scared of a specific character. I know he was supposed to be imposing and intimidating, Darth Vader, and I was aware of that, but I didn't feel scared. I just sort of was like, "Oh, all right, he's supposed to be scary."
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe were you scared of Donald Sutherland at the end? Does that thing? And then you realize he's one of them now too.
Oh.
No, maybe not.
I don't remember the details enough. I blocked it out. I just remember turning around. I couldn't watch it anymore.
Oh,
Invasion of the Body Snatchers, that is, not
Yeah,
Star
yeah.
Wars.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I came across it accidentally because growing up in Central Florida, I go to Disney a lot. My favorite ride, well, second favorite to Haunted Mansion, maybe. My second favorite ride, Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. It's gone now. You can't ride that ride any longer.
Yeah.
I just went on Mr. Toad's in California.
It's in California still, but I've never been to Disneyland.
That's the
right?
first
So
time I've ever been on it.
I love that ride.
Yes.
Love it. Hey, go ahead. So, what's your experience with Mr. Toad? We'll get back to me.
It's a trip. God damn.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's messed
You
up.
get hit by a train and you go to
Yes.
hell. It's fantastic.
Yes. You're judged by a demon. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And in your car, you have a steering wheel, but you're on a track. But I would spin the wheel because I would always drive. I loved that ride. But I didn't know what it was. They're like,
Yeah.
Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I'm like, what the fuck's a Mr. Toad? I mean, I've seen all the Disney characters. I don't know. And so I would implore people, and I want to know what it is. And there's no internet. You can't look it up. And finally, we find out, well, there's a movie. There's a movie you can get. And I'm like, I want that movie because it's a cartoon, but it's a combo movie. It's The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad.
Oh.
My wife
So-
loves that. Sure.
Huh.
Yes.
In my endeavor to learn more about the history of Mr. Toad,
yeah.
I was petrified by the Headless Horseman.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness.
yes. Oh, I see. Yep.
I was there for the Toad, but the
That's what I
whole,
got
the Legend of Sleepy Hollow, all of that. And in that animation, it's heavy. It's good. It's not like, oh, it's cute little, danger. No, it is like scary.
Cute little
they got
danger.
the pumpkin, and yeah, it's great. And so, I forget it was first or second, whatever. I'd always fast forward or rewind past or whatever. I don't want to watch the Sleepy Hollow. Now I will, but as a kid, yeah, that was, and I got sideswiped by it because I wanted to see the Mr. Toad stuff, and it was on the same VHS. So.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Every
Now I
Halloween,
want to watch this.
Every Halloween, my family watches those two. But yeah, in particular, Ichabod. If we're gonna just do one, it's Ichabod, Sleepy Hollow story. Yeah, I
Yep.
get that. That's a scary character. The idea,
Huh.
and the actual lore of it is even more bizarre and layered. And anyway,
So we got Darth Vader,
Mhm.
Headless Horseman, Donald Sutherland. There we go. Those are three.
Donald Sutherland. It's terrifying. Donald Sutherland's terrifying. Karen says, we used to go to the IBM Christmas party, and my dad dressed up like Darth Vader once, but I wasn't scared of him. I was terrified of the Count on Sesame Street.
No.
What the Count?
One,
Charming.
2, 3.
Bleh.
That's interesting. Look, but he is a vampire, guys. I mean, he's a puppet, but he's also a vampire. So I get that. He's got a feed.
Who's he ever bit? One person.
We only
one
see him.
puppet?
I don't know.
Who's
Do
he
we see
ever
him
bit?
walking around
What?
at night?
Who did he
hunting
bite?
people?
No. See? He doesn't. He's
He
a bitty
doesn't
bite.
like puppets.
Karen
does
was
he?
also terrified of the Empire carpet guy.
Who's that? Fire
Commercials?
carpet.
Some like commercial.
Empire.
And anything with a music in a minor key. That's a lot. Yeah. Marcus says Michael Myers, and I'm still scared of it. Maybe 8 was too young to see Halloween.
Maybe.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
If Marcus sees like a cardboard standee of Michael Myers, he's out.
yeah. He's like, yeah.
Yeah. Too much. No, you're joking. I'm serious. That's what it's like.
Yeah.
Man.
we know
He's
how
like,
to
nope,
get
nope.
We know how to get to him now.
His rational brain just takes leave because it's something primal in him that, he saw it too young. I think he's right.
Kimberly says Sleepy Hollow's an amazing cartoon. I watch it at least once every fall.
I
Brandon
gotta
says
do this.
I almost pissed my pants when I first saw Michael Jackson. I'm just gonna stop there, Brandon.
Just in general.
Yeah, Michael Jackson. When he was part of the Jackson 5. That's weird. No.
The Thriller. Is that what it is?
ABC. Yeah, Michael Jackson as the zombie in the Thriller video, but I was super young. Yeah.
Yeah, and by the time we saw it, it was we were older. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I told the story before. The
Tell
Thriller
it again.
came out in what, 81?
Thriller?
No, 83, I think. 83,
Yeah, it was later, a little bit later.
82,
Yeah.
83. So we were like 12 years old or something like that. I was scared to watch it at first.
Really?
They were having a watch party at my friend's house in her basement, and I was like, I don't know, how am I going to do this? I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know what to expect.
Huh.
I mean, it was fine, but there was a lot of anxiety just anticipating, like,
Anticipating.
what's he going to do?
The unknown.
Might be a snuff video of some kind. I don't know.
What?
You knew
I don't
about
know.
TV?
Michael Jackson.
when you were 12?
I don't know.
Oh, no.
All right, anyway, back to James Earl Jones. Okay, there you go. Thanks, guys. All right. Anything else we can record now and stick in later?
That's what she said.
Oh,
I want to record something on this cassette, and then I want to stick it in later.
mm.
All right.
Said a transformer.
3. Wait, what's BFT stand? 3 podcast hosts. What? Oh,
I don't know. What?
Maybe the three. I don't know. What are you saying there, BFG? I missed something.
Three.
Empire.
Oh, he's counting. 1, 2, 3.
Three podcast hosts.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yes, thank you.
That is awesome.
We're idiots. Sorry.
I got lost in the. I don't know what I got lost in there.
I count the candles on the shelf. When I'm alone, I count myself.
I thought you were singing MacArthur Park for a second there.
Whoa, yeah, it did kind of have that little.
Bleh. MacArthur's Park is frightening.
MacArthur's.
Bleh.
All righty,
Bleh,
that's good
bleh.
enough, right? All right. All right. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Love to everybody. Stay safe, everybody. We will talk to you again. We'll see you again next week. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.